Okay. Pretty sure you can hear me, but I don't know if anyone can see me. Wow, this camera situation, it's not great. Hello. Oh, okay. Hi. Okay, so something really weird has happened with my camera because let's face it, that's just how I roll apparently. So we've got a pretty dodgy camera today. I'll make it quick, so maybe even just don't look, just listen. Today's a day for listening to Tarot and Tea Tuesday. Anyway, welcome. All dodgy imagery aside, it is Tarot and Tea Tuesday, and I don't know about everyone else, but I've had a really full-on week, and it is a full moon today, or it was a few minutes ago, hour ago, a few hours ago. Anyway, full moon in Cancer, Capricorn Sun, Cancer Moon. They're being opposites to each other at the moment. So, yeah, it's an interesting combo, the Cancerian Capricorn complex, because on the one hand, maybe because I'm an air sign and I'm a Gemini, I find it fascinating. But on one side, you have this kind of like this Capricorn energy at the moment in the sun, so that's kind of dominating how things sort of present. So on the one hand, with Capricorn, what's being presented is this like need to sort of plan and be focused and organized in how we manage our lives and do our lives. And then we've got the full moon energy, which is sort of like this big rising understanding of what's happening inside of us, and that energy needing to be expressed. So, and the Cancerian thing of like, what brings you comfort, what brings you that sense of feeling like your emotional needs are being met and held properly. And it's just such a beautiful combo, because Capricorn, being that earth sign, can hold, like, one of the things is that it holds, like earth holds water, bodies of water. So anyway, and then on the other end of it, you've got, and also Cancer's at home in the moon, like when the moon is traveling, in Cancer, the moon is at home. So I don't know, I feel like there's this really lovely energy around the time of the Cancerian full moon, where everything, you have an opportunity to just understand what's comfortable, where's comfortable, and how to be comfortable within yourself. And then how to take that and organize it in a productive way that can fashion how you move through the external world. And then on the other side, when you've got a Capricorn moon and a Cancerian sun, it's sort of, I don't know, it's that same thing, but sort of moving inward rather than outward. And for where I am in the Southern Hemisphere, it's so here I am in summer and it's moving outward. That vibe is moving outward. And then on the other side of it, when the sun's in Cancer, it is moving inward, and it is around the middle of winter. So anyway, I've always found the bookends of Capricorn Sun, Cancer Moon / Cancer Sun, Capricorn Moon to be really lovely spots to check in with how I am, what I'm feeling, how I'm growing on the inside of myself, and how that matches how I'm managing my external world. So that's where I'm at today. And this past week has been really full on because I feel like sort of building to an intensity in the last couple of days. But I feel like there's just been a lot of chaotic energy around, unsettled, unstable, ungrounded, chaotic energy that I don't know, I feel like it's sort of erupting in it's like little bits of fire erupting everywhere and causing these sort of destabilizing situations that are manageable. But, it's that thing where when manageable things are happening consecutively and consistently, it becomes unmanageable. And that's where it was feeling until last night. Everything kind of like broke up and dispersed for me personally anyway, because we have our family dinner on Monday night, and it's always nice to have people in the home and feeding them and lots of laughter and chatter, and just a disruption to the normal cycle of your day or whatever is a good way of shaking things up. But on Sunday, I fell really heavily and landed straight on my butt, like straight on my tailbone. And it was one of those things where it was like, ground yourself, stop being scattered, be where you are, be present, be mindful. And when you're traveling along in life and you're like, yeah, I'm doing all of the right things, I am mindful, I am present, I'm grounded. But then something like that happens and it kind of shocks you and you're like, well, maybe not that dramatic, but you have a realization that actually I haven't been. I've been telling myself that I am, because I'm just used to telling myself that. It's like drinking water. I'll often say to myself, yeah, I'm drinking enough water. But when I actually sit and think back, reflect on the last few days and how much water I've drunk, it's like, actually, no, I'm not drinking enough water. Anyway, that's been the big build up to this full moon and this week's tarot read for me, is that idea that, aside from the fact that, there is that cheeky pixie energy around, and it becoming manageable, things becoming unmanageable because they're just consistently being there and being present. Aside from all of that, just this idea that if we don't, we need to listen. Well, I need to listen more to my self-talk and take the automatic self-talk out and make it real self-talk. I don't know if that makes any sense. But anyway, I didn't get any questions for the read. So that's where I'm at with the theme for our reading today. And so because of I've had this bruised tailbone now, like it's really painful. I laugh because it just seems really ridiculous, but I've been hobbling around, like really struggling to get up and down, struggling to get comfortable in bed. There's so many things that require our tailbones for stabilization, movement, lifting, just so much. And, it's one of those, I don't know, I always see the tailbone as like a remnant of our connection to our animal selves, but also it's that part that is the grounding part of us, like, and the fact that there's been destabilizing energies around makes me think of like how tails work. Like tails are stabilizing factors. Like if you lean this way, your tail will lean that way. Do you know what I mean? To sort of help bring that balance. Anyway, yeah, it cracked open a huge big thing, which hopefully we can explore more with the cards today. But the tea I'm having is because on a real quick search the other day, I use ointments for bruising. I make my own stuff. It's all good, but I like to try new things. So I have some feverfew that I wild harvested in, I think it was around Hepburn. Anyway, up in the mountains somewhere. And I read that it's good for bruising in the sense, feverfew is great for a lot of things. Pretty sure it's actually associated with water, the element water. But yeah, it's feverfew, as the name would ascribe, helps when you have fever, colds, flus, things like that. It's a good herb to just help your body regulate itself during those tough times of like chest and upper respiratory and lower respiratory issues that cause fever in the body. But also, I was reading about it the other day. So it's part of the daisy family. It's like they're little tiny flowers that look like tiny daisy flowers. And you can smell I think it's called pyrethrum. There's a smell that comes off the daisy family, Asteraceae. Anyway, whatever the hell the family is. There's a smell that comes off of it that is an insect repellent. So it has that as well. But apparently it's also really good, not only for treating the symptoms of migraines, so like the pain of migraines, the light sensitivity, and the nausea that can be associated with it, but also helps to prevent them from happening. There's not a lot of things that can do that. And research around migraines, I mean, it's getting better recently, but this has been around for a very long time and used for migraines. So anyway, if you're a migraine sufferer, get on it. I've used it before for migraines. It's really good. But yeah, given that it's also good for digestive issues, I think there's bitter principles in it. I can't remember what the phytochemicals are. But anyway, feverfew, it's a really great herb to have. It's a bit of an old school one that you don't sort of hear about very much anymore. And to be honest, I only have some because I found it in the wild and I was like, yay, I'm taking some of this home. But that's what I'm doing. Oh, yeah, and the bruising part. So there are quite a few warnings with most of the daisy family, which I think is Asteraceae. I can't remember. There's quite a few warnings. So please look at the warnings if you're going to try it. One of them is that it can stop clotting factors. So, which means, you've got to be careful. You can't take it for long periods of time, and you've got to be careful it doesn't disrupt clotting, which is very important. But here's the thing: I'm at a point with my bruise on my bum. So when it first happened, there was lots of swelling and sensitivity of movement, like really high sensitivity of movement and nerve pain. And then so I used some comfrey and rosemary ointment on the surface for that, and I had some St. John's wort because that's, I think, good for nerve pain. And then as the swelling sort of started to come down, the bruising started to come out. So that was me yesterday with like the bruising. So it was not necessarily, the movement was starting to get a bit better. I was taking it very easy though, obviously. But any form of touch on it, so sitting became really uncomfortable and awkward. Same with getting to a laying down position. But yeah, when I woke up this morning, it was more just like a sensitivity. The sensitivity is still there, but I'm feeling like it's time for the bruising to be dispersed. Do you know that feeling where it's like everything's getting a little bit irritated? It's like, yeah, your body's ready to sort of like clean that up and move on. So anyway, long story short, I'm having feverfew tea. Really bitter. I made it quite strong, so this one's really bitter. But yeah, you can taste the, oh man, my liver's going to be loving this, and my digestive system. Yeah, so it's kind of thick but very bitter. So trigger warning for that. Okay, and the cards we're going to use. So I've really only I've got a lot of oracle decks in my tarot trunk. It's a very big trunk of tarot cards. And I've been just sort of digging through randomly. There's no system to how I'm going through this tarot deck. There's a lot of oracle cards. I've been trying to avoid those because a lot of people like to learn more about the tarot. Side note, stay tuned. There could be tarot school coming, online tarot school. But anyway, so I've been trying to avoid the oracle decks. I haven't been going through it systematically. So I think I'm at the point now where I could be going back over old cards. My memory is not great. So it is going to be what it is. But these cards, I can't even remember if we've used them before. The Herbal Tarot. There's the, oh, look how crappy this camera is. There's the beautiful picture on the back of those. And so they're kind of, who's it? Michael Tierra is the concept person, and Candace Canton, the artist. As you can see, they're pretty like heavily based on the Pamela Coleman Smith, Rider, whatever it is, but the original tarot deck. Or maybe you can't, it's not obvious to you, but anyway, like they're quite similar. With these other great, like, beautiful drawings of the plants. Can I just say, though, that the artist is also a herbalist, holistic counselor. Like, I'm pretty sure she would have had a lot of influence on the interpretation of these cards, not just as an artist, as she's credited for, but yeah, her depiction of the actual, sorry, I'm being very selfish and looking at those. The drawings of the plants are like botanical. There's a lot of botanical clarity in how she's drawn the pictures of the plants as well. Oh, there's chamomile that looks a little bit like feverfew, but there you go. Anyway, beautiful cards. I've had that. This was like my second tarot deck ever. I've had this exact deck. My first ever tarot deck I gave to one of my sisters. This is the oldest deck that I have had my hands on, and I got this deck when I was let me see, 35 years ago. I got this tarot deck 34 years ago. It's been around for a long time, and it's been a part of me for a long time, and totally inspired me with getting into herbs. Anyway, let's pull a card. I've been rambling so much. I think I'm trying to compensate for the terrible visuals, so you don't have to look and you can just hear me rambling about all kinds of things. So here we go. Thinking about a card. Aha. Oh, I got to do it this side because it's better. The medicine wheel. How cool is that? Slippery elm. So I'm guessing this card is like the wheel of the wheel of destiny, or whatever it's called in a lot of other decks. And that card is like in the middle of the major arcana. So the major arcana is from the Fool to the World card. I think it's 21 cards. Anyway, however many it is, it's the journey. Did you pull the same card? Oh, we're definitely, sorry, I'm just looking at Jessie who's messaged me. Let me see if I can open this message properly. Let me see what she's saying here, because I don't think I can toggle through. Yep. Where are you? Oh, where's it going? Anyway, how funny is that? The Destiny card, Wheel of Fortune, it's called sometimes. But yeah, it's right smack bang in the middle of the major arcana. So it's that point in the journey where it's like you've been going in a direction and exploring who you are going in a direction and what that means to you. And then sort of, as you sort of move off in a direction, you start to sort of narrow the edges of possibility. So you bring the focus in. And then what happens is you get to this point of the medicine wheel where it's like you question it. You question, am I on the right path? Like, I've really invested a lot now into this. You don't know you're at the halfway point until clearly you get to the end. But it's a feeling that happens when you've been going in a certain direction for a certain amount of time, and you do get to that bottleneck where it's like, okay, I've really narrowed by the choices I've made, I've really narrowed down where I can go from here. But there's this incredible, okay, so anyway, one of the traditional things is with this card is that it's about yielding to this idea that depends on your worldview, but this idea that there's a greater power, there's something greater driving our direction and our movement, and having a bit of faith in that. It could be a greater power that is an aspect of ourselves or an external force, if that's what you believe in. Whatever it is you believe in, you do get to that. If you get to that sticky point, you realize that I just need to have faith now. Like I can't not everybody does that, and you don't have to do that, but it is a good idea to do that, because what will happen is you'll pass through that narrow opening and you'll realize it's like an hourglass kind of shape, like the possibilities will open up again. And it's this, what's really great about this card is that it's, oh God, this camera's really shit. Sorry. It is the medicine wheel. And I don't know a lot about, so clearly that's from a Native American term for like an overview of their worldview of things. And it's something that's like the wheel of the year is another concept that's similar to the medicine wheel. Don't know a lot about the origins of the medicine wheel. I have read a few different Native American ideas around the medicine wheel. My favorite one, and the one that kind of sticks with me, is the story of the white buffalo calf woman, I think it's called. It's from very long ago. But this idea of the 7 elements, and there's the center point, then there's the 4 directions, and then there's the circle around it, and that circle around it. But also in that story, it talks about the directions that are above and below. Gives a really, and the center. So that's the 7 directions as opposed to the 4, which I'd been used to. So that was a really great story to read. But then this idea that the wheel around the outside of that directional thing, compass in the middle, the wheel around the outside connects us to the cycles, how life cycles. It's not, well, like Jessie said in our Jessie and I have a lunar journal that we post out every full moon, and that went out this morning. And what Jessie wrote was really incredible and has been on my mind since I read it the other day. But this idea that like there's linear time, that we, in the culture that I was raised in anyway, is a given. It's a given that time moves in this straight way. But the reason that I connect so much with a lot of pagan and traditional philosophies and worldviews is that it's cyclical time, and why I love things like astrology and lunar and Wheel of the Year festivals, things like that. Anyway, that's built into this medicine wheel idea. So, and then we've got like slippery elm is the tree that is the center of that medicine wheel. And from what I can, like slippery elm, I love slippery elm. I'm glad I picked this. It's one of those things that's like, so the center of the wheel represents the spirit and the center of all things. And it's great that it's this tree, this magnificent tree, but also that it's slippery elm. So the inner bark of the slippery elm, I can't remember its botanical name now. Anyway, the slippery elm tree is so nourishing and soothing, and it's just like it heals all the surfaces, especially mucous membrane in the body. It's the one thing you can have when you can't have anything else, when everything makes you feel sick or you're convalescing and you're not supposed to have like big things, or you need to be really gentle with your digestion. Slippery elm's perfect. It's got a little bit of, it's got a it's not huge amounts, but it's got a broad mineral profile. It's got It's a soluble fiber, so it's not scratchy. It's like forms a sort of gel and soothes all. Anyway, it's lovely that there is this like Earth Mother style energy right in the center of this medicine wheel here. And one of the things that I remember from reading Native American concepts of the medicine wheel is that we're journeying around in that outside circle. And every now and then we can drop into one of the directions and get teachings from those different spots. But if the idea is that this is change, the outside wheel is all about change. Things cycle, things move, things change. I think with the linear concept, it's that you need to survive for the long haul. You need to grow and move forward, always going forward. And it kind of takes you away from where you started, and you turn your back on a lot of things. But with this cyclical idea, it's that you can revisit, you can reflect on where you've been, and then sort of recognize your growth from those movements rather than being all the way over here and trying to look back. And one of the things, so because of this concept of change, one of the things I remember about the medicine wheel is that if you are struggling with that change, go to the center, go back to spirit, go back to the center of yourself, that power that's in the middle and held by everything really lovingly. And I love the fact that it is the slippery elm tree because, like I was saying, it's really nourishing, healing, beautiful, gentle, but powerful, potent herb plant. Anyway, that's, I think, exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to find my slippery elm. I'm going to have some today. It's like, to me, having slippery elm is like a quick way of getting the same kind of self-healing as making soup, but I don't have to make the soup. So anyway, there's our card for today. Sorry about the camera. I will fix it. I promise I will deal with that. And here's to the nice bit of flavors of Feverfew tea. See you next week.